Hi, everyone. My name is John DePietro.
And I'm Bob Zagami with the Camper Report Show.
And on this Camper Report Show, I am going to tell our audience all about the RV Life travel app. You know what? We're owned by the RV Life people. I figure it's about time that we tell them about the RV Life Trip Wizard.
You mean we should talk about our sponsors and stuff?
Well, yeah, I think we
Oh,
should.
yeah,
And even
sounds
if we shouldn't,
interesting.
we're
All
gonna.
right. I've got an interview with Chris Dougherty, been a technician and service manager for 25 years in our industry, and he's launching his new RV PhD. And I'll leave it there, and you catch the rest of it on the interview.
There we go. So we are talking about RV life and PhDs right here. Where?
On the Camper Report Show.
Stay with us, everyone. Hey, everybody, it's John from the Camper Report Show, and I want to introduce you to RV Mattress by Brooklyn Bedding. Now, Brooklyn Bedding will make a mattress to fit any size RV. The unit that we have in our Class C is a Brooklyn Dreamfold Hybrid. Well, we put it in a couple weeks ago. We've been on a couple trips. Sometimes I've slept in it. When I've gone out alone, my wife has slept in it. And you know what? We both had great nights sleeps. You know, they have their own factory right in Arizona, so that gives them strict quality control. It was easy and fun to set up. You hear that? Wow. This is less than 30 seconds. So, that is luxury. Now, the thing I like best about this, there is a 120-night sleep trial. 4 months you can try this out. And guess what? It's got a 10-year warranty. We've had it for 2 weeks. Here's the reason I like it. It fits perfectly here where the old mattress was. It was easy to buy. You just go online and there's every choice imaginable, which says a lot because the RV biz has a million different sizes of mattresses. You should order it now. It's 25% off, and give yourself, your family, and anybody else who you travel with the best gift possible, the gift of a great night's sleep. Hey, everybody, welcome back to the Camper Report Show. We're on a news segment, and Bob Zagami is over there. I'm right here, and Bob, we would not be anywhere without our friends at RV Business and Woodall's Campground Magazine, because that's where we glean all our news from, right?
We wouldn't have this section of the show if we didn't have Rick Kessler at RV Business and Ben Quiggle at Woodall's Campground Magazine. That's for sure.
For sure. And one of the things that's hot off the press that we just got word of is that the winners of the RV of the Year taken at Elkhart at the open house are our friends from Nobo. Talk a little bit about that product.
Well, it's interesting this year because we talked a little bit about this last week, that when we have a downturn in the RV industry, it kind of ignites the juices of the engineers, and they say, well, what else can we do to get these people back in? How can we improve the product? What features can we put in? And typically RV Business has the RV of the Year. So we really don't have an RV of the Year. We have a suite, a configuration of a travel trailer that shows up in the Forest River Ibex, Nobo, and the R-Pod for a new design, both from interior and the exterior. So it was the engineering of taking this suite and changing what people think of as something different from an RV. And they had over 100 RVs to look at during, and they do this during dealer open house week. And what the company says about it is the unit is a successful execution of a comfortable, functional, tech-laden, extended stay base camp for adventure. So they're trying to bring the luxury and the high-tech stuff into a multi-function suite that Forest River, on their promotion during the open house, they called it a revolutionary leap in modern camping. And RV Business isn't sure that they would go all the way that far, but it was so so unique that they had a couple of knockdown drag out brawls at the at the conference table trying to figure out how and who they were going to give the trophy to this year. But
otherwise known as editorial meetings.
yes, exactly.
In fact, this is so new that as we are taping this segment, it hasn't even premiered nationally yet. So you're going to have to.
Cody Shade's the product manager for all three of those product lines.
Yep.
He calls it a comprehensive living solution that combines the adventurous spirit of camping with the convenience and sophistication of a high-end apartment. It heralds a new era in outdoor experiences, offering a glimpse into the future of eco-conscious yet luxurious travel. Okay. They put some serious thought into the copywriting of this press release.
I think they probably hired some high-priced ad agency in Chicago to put it together, which could be kind of for a pretty cool event like this. And basically, we're telling you to stay with us next week here on the Camp Report Show, because we will have those pictures of the interior of this particular unit.
And also, we'll have information for the next 3 or 4 weeks, probably, because in the release of their RV of the Year so-called thing, they also had a section on the 10 top finalists, and people like Alliance and Brinkley that brought out new products. The Intech Blackwing, the Storyteller Overlander. It's the first time I've seen an Overlander unit in there. Then they've got the top debuts. There are actually a lot of new products introduced at dealer open house, and we'll kind of gather those and put them together. And then they had another group of must-see RVs. So I did, even though the attendance was down a little bit, there was a lot of activity and a lot of products. So
the reality is, Bob, is this.
We'll have more to come.
It seems though that the reality is this: is over the last few years when the manufacturers couldn't produce RVs fast enough to get them onto the street into the hands of customers that had already purchased them. Innovation may have lagged a little bit, but as soon as the industry lags a little bit, which is cyclical, I mean, there's never a hockey stick growth pattern in the RV industry, or at least it hasn't been for the past 20 or 30 years. That's when the innovation takes place. So when you see sales going down because of whatever reason there is, that's when these people in Elkhart put their head together and say, hey, we need to come up with something new and innovative to get our audience back.
And it gives the consumers something to look forward to. And you're dead right. When they were going the way they were in the post-COVID era, they didn't have time to think about anything new. The only consideration of every manufacturer is, what can we get out the door? And people were waiting a year or two for RVs. But when the market dips and the engineers get going, then the RVers get really excited when that upswing comes, because they got new toys to play with.
And my guess is that many of these new models that we're talking about, including the one we're going to talk about right now called the Pebble, which is a very interesting combination of folks from Apple, Tesla, and Volvo. They're going to get their heads together. And my guess is that some of this product is going to be available for the winter RV season coming up right after New Year's.
It may slip till the early part of next year, but you're right. They didn't come from the RV industry. There was no, historical reluctance to try new things. They put the pencil on a plain piece of paper, a brand new piece of paper, and said, if we're going to do a travel trailer, how can we make it different?
Yep.
And a lot of people wouldn't just sit down and do it. There are new RVs, but this is an all-electric RV that is actually being introduced this week, and we will have more information on this one next week also. Yep. It's a 100% electric, powered by a generous EV battery and an integrated solar system to hold enough power to allow users to stay off-grid for up to 7 days before the need to recharge. And what's interesting about that? We typically think in many cases when we talk about boondocking going off the grid, that it's a Class B motorhome or a small Class C, but your first thought always is that it's a motorhome. This is a travel trailer, and it's self-powered. It's all electric, but it also brings up an opportunity that you could take it out to an off-grid position and then leave for a day or two if you had something to tour in the area. so you're not taking your whole house and all that electricity with you. And they don't even mention that in the press release, but that's another way that people can do it, so they don't tag you don't go here,
Don't have to
ride
take
the
it.
train for 2 or 3
Yep.
days, take and work it as a true base camp. That for an entire 7 days you don't have to plug into anything.
Yep. Just make sure you have that attachment that goes over the trailer hitch that prevents people from driving away with it when you're not there.
There'll be some new and improved models coming.
Exactly.
Coming out
Exactly.
when the less than honest people figure out what they can do with these things.
Yep.
But you're right. Their background came from the consumer technology and the automotive industry. And what they say is they're combining the electrification with cutting edge automotive technology for an RV experience that removes the hassles RV owners have struggled with for decades.
Yeah.
So,
and you know what? They could
totally
go. They could go to the place that is right behind you or the right behind me. As long as they've got the sun shining, they're all set for a period of time. And the final topic of today, thanks to our friends at RV Business and Woodall's, is there is a trend now, at least in Camping World stores, to be single brand stores. Now we know, there are some stores in New England, like our friends at Pete's up in New Hampshire, in Vermont, that only sell Jayco. But now Camping World has got another store that is going to be one brand, and that brand is Grand Design. And I believe that is in the Green Bay area.
It's actually right next to a Camping World store, not connected.
Okay.
I talked to somebody at Camping World yesterday. It may be across the street or just on the other side of the same side of the street, but a different entrance. Totally dedicated to Grand Design, sales, service, Good Sam products, accessories, apparel. You can buy all your Grand Design t-shirts and hats and what have you. This, although it sounds a little bit benign to some people, this was the shot heard around the world in the RV industry. The reason being that when Grand Design first came out 10 years ago, they said they weren't going to sell to Camping World. And all of these dealers around the country made huge investments in Grand Design. And they are not happy about this, but it's free enterprise. It's the capital system that we have in the country, but it sets a standard that most of the Grand Design dealers in the country, and the ones that I've talked to, they never saw it coming. There were no rumors. They had no idea. They had been out to dealer open house. They didn't hear it there. Had not been told by the company. And they woke up and here's this beautiful building. It's a beautiful building. We'll put some pictures up there. And it's a single dedicated one company only store. And Marcus Lemonis said that when he came up with this marketing, if you will, this distribution thing, that Jayco would not be the only one, that there would be other manufacturers. And, Grand Design is owned by Winnebago. You could see a Winnebago store someday. I suspect every manufacturer at least wants to get across the conference table from Marcus Lemonis to talk about a dedicated store. I think it's going to be a big trend. Whether they do it with Camping World or somebody else, I think you'll see some other dealers start to do it because these product lines are getting complex and they have many products.
Let me beg to differ with something that you said on that. I would wonder, now, if this is going to be the big trend, then why would they build one of these stores adjacent to an existing Camping World store that generally offers 7, 8, 10 brands, as well as motorized and towable?
Marcus covered that. No, he covered that. He said they will in fact be close to, in many cases, most cases, close to an existing Camping World store, with the theory that if somebody was really focused on a Jayco or a Grand Design, went to the dedicated store and didn't see it, they can say, oh, by the way, Camping World is down the street and we've got 10 other brands. But the person who comes and looks for a dedicated store with just selling that, they're going to find that purpose. But in his mind, he wants it close by the other Camping World stores, which, by the way, isn't hard to do. They've got over 200 stores in the country, so they can pick and choose where they're going to be, and I mean, in essence, you're competing against your own company, but sometimes that makes both companies better. It doesn't necessarily hurt the other one. So
Right.
the Grand Design Store and the Camping World Store could enjoy great success because, again, you're bringing people in, more people in.
So there we go, folks.
Yep.
Thank you so much for joining us for the news segment. And stay with us because we've got two great segments coming up right here. Where, Mr. Zagami?
On the Camper Report Show.
Stay with us, everyone. Everybody, welcome back to the Camper Report Show. My name is John DePietro. You know, for the past 3 years, we have been talking about the RV Life Trip Wizard because they are part of our company here at RV Life. And we thought we would talk to somebody who's an actual user, actually really a brand ambassador for the RV Life Trip Wizard. We want to welcome Jennifer to the Camper Report Show. Jennifer, welcome.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Okay, so you have been using... tell us a little bit about how long you've been using.
I have been with
Trip Wizard.
RV Trip Wizard since 2018.
Okay, and it's safe to say that you are an active RVer.
I am an active RVer. We are full-timers.
Okay, and how often do you make use of the features on Trip Wizard?
Every time I plan a trip. Every time.
Okay. And why should somebody consider owning the service?
Not only its great features, but what I love is that I'm planning ahead of time. I'm getting my trip done. I'm planning all my stops, my rest areas, my fuel stops, anywhere I'm going. And then travel day is stress-free. I'm not frantically looking for anything. I have it all planned out. I know where I'm going, and I love that.
Okay, so where's your home base?
We are actually full-time RVers, but we're from Michigan.
Okay, so say you are in Detroit.
Okay.
And you wanted to go to Biloxi, Mississippi.
Okay.
What are you going to do? What is the process that you would follow? Because you want to go 200 miles a day, and you've got a high trailer.
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm going to make sure that all my information is correct in my settings for my RV, which is going to be the height, the weight, and also for my truck for fuel. And
Miles
I'm going
per
to have
gallon.
miles per gallon. And then I'm also going to have a starting point in Detroit, and then I'll have an ending point in Mississippi, and then I'm just going to fill in the gaps in between and plan my trip from there.
Okay. So you press go, if you will, for lack of a better
Yes.
term, and it gives you what? You want to stop at, say you want to stop only at KOAs.
Yep. So
Okay.
I'm going to go ahead and sell my filters in the campground filter area for just KOA memberships. I can filter for that. I pay for that membership. I want to go to that campground. It's going to show me all the KOAs that are going to be between Detroit and Mississippi.
Okay. And some of the miles you want to go on the interstate highway, and some of them you want to go on smaller county or state roads. Is it capable to program that into TripWizard?
Absolutely. You can do it a couple different ways. We do have a drag route feature that you can use, and you can also create waypoints.
Okay. Explain to me what you meant by that.
Waypoints, you can put in an address there, and that'll create your route for you if you want to take a specific way, or you can drag your route. It's a feature that you can turn on in TripWizard, zoom in to where you want to go, and drop your route there.
Okay. Say you only wanted to stop for fuel at, say, Flying J or Love's.
Yep, same thing. We have our points of interest there in the research tab, and you can filter just for Flying J or Love's.
Okay, so it tells you the campgrounds, it tells you where to go for fuel. How about the most important part about RVing? Does it give you restaurants?
Absolutely. Same thing right in our research tab that's under our points of interest. You can click on restaurants and it will show you all the restaurants in the area you're viewing.
Okay, so for you to plan that trip, to do what you just told us before it spit out, there's probably a better term than spit out, before it displayed something for you, how long, Jennifer, in time does that take you?
Normally I plan, because we are full-time RVers, I plan in month increments, and I work on like a week or two at a time and get that coordinated. But I can spend up to about an hour planning my trip, but also keep in mind that I'm making sure and I'm vetting my route and I'm getting every stop in there that I want to do to have that stress-free travel day.
Okay, so for you to do that manually on a Rand McNally Atlas,
I don't got time for that.
don't have time for that?
No.
Okay. So how about cost factors? What I understand there's a couple different versions that you can avail yourself of,
Yep.
right?
So we do have our annual subscription, and that is $65 a year. And there is also a monthly plan available for $19.99.
Okay. So it seems like the annual plan is the better.
The annual plan is the better
The
deal,
better
and
plan.
you do get a 7-day free trial with that too.
7-day free trial. I mean, is there any reason that you shouldn't use TripWizard? I mean, it almost seems. I mean, I've used it myself, but I had to. I'm so technically, what's the word? Undignified. Okay, I had to call up the actual person, Andy Rabinowitz, who designed the program, and he had to walk me through it. I don't think any of our viewers are as bad as I am, but it seems to be a no-brainer. And even if you're not going on that trip, you can see what the trip, right? Doesn't it explain what the trip would cost you? And
Yeah, you do have an expense feature also in RV TripWizard, so you can track your expenses for camping and meals, fuel, miscellaneous, all that kind of stuff on there.
I have several other members of the team here. Is there anything else that I should be asking her to make this a really cool interview? Is her response.
What's the best way to plan a trip, in your opinion?
What's the best way to plan a trip, in your opinion? Because you shouldn't be talking to her directly because she's an actress.
That's true, yeah.
Okay, so what's the best way to plan a trip? In
My
your
method
opinion?
for planning a trip is I always have a starting point and an end point, and I just fill in from there.
Okay. Now, what if you do that and then you want to deviate and go off on a side trip? Is there a way to add that type into the program?
Yeah, you can add extra stops in there. You can also just create another trip. You can have as many trips as you like in the program there. We offer RV routing and standard routing, so it's not just for your RV.
Oh, okay. You know what? Very, very important feature, because depending
Yes.
on where you live, you're not using the RV all year.
Correct. Or if you have a motorhome and you have your car and you want to go take a day trip into town or anything, you can certainly use standard routing and plan a trip and not be routed around anything because you won't be in your RV. So that's another great feature, and we utilize that also.
And when you say routing around, that could be a low railroad bridge.
Correct, but your car can go through,
Yep.
but your RV can't, so you'll be taking the car route and the standard route.
Okay. Hey, we want to thank you so much for look at this camera hog. Patrick Buchanan walks. It just happens to walk by a camera and go right into it. You use TripWizard, right?
Of course,
And you're an active RVer.
I am.
Okay. And you're in a case where you have a motorhome where you have a travel trailer, right?
I have a fifth wheel.
Fifth wheel, okay. You have a fifth wheel. But regardless whether it's a Class A, Class B, Class C, pop-up, or whatever, and like I say, even in your own car, TripWizard has value.
Absolutely, it sure does. Yes.
Just being able to find campgrounds and plan fuel stops, to me, is worth the whole thing.
Yeah.
Because
Forget everything else. That
finding
alone makes it worth
campgrounds,
value.
if you're looking through directories, those campground directories are, I mean, if you don't know the state in the region,
You don't know where you don't
you
know
have nowhere to look.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
Yep.
So we're just going to tell everybody that's watching, just go to rvlife.com,
Correct.
look for TripWizard, try out the free trial, see if you like it.
Absolutely.
And if you do, we want to welcome you to the RV Life family. Thank you, Jennifer. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you,
And
John.
thank you, Paige, for being part of this. It's the Camp Report Show, everybody. Stay with us. A lot more to come.
All right, welcome back, everybody, to the Camper Report Show, and our good friend Chris Dougherty is with us again. Chris, great to have you back on the Camper Report Show, and there's been some changes in your life and some new products and people. Let's bring people up to date on what Chris Dougherty's doing these days.
Well, first of all, Bob, thanks so much for having me back on the Camper Report Show. And yeah, there's some exciting things going on here. We just launched the RV PhD newsletter, and that's going to be going along with some other products too online as we go forward. So we've kind of planted the seed, as you say, and we're going to see where it goes.
You know, it's an exciting time, and you've done so many things in your 25 career in the industry. I'm in my 27th year, so we came into this industry pretty close to each other, and I was fortunate enough to meet you very early on with our good friend Gary Bunza, who passed away during COVID, and I know he was an early mentor of yours. Speak to your early relationship and the mentoring, and what got you into the business to begin with.
So I've been RVing most of my life, and I got to a point where I owned RVs. Well, the first RV that I bought was with a friend of mine that we redid. I was 24 years old. And I've had RVs ever since. But we grew up with them too. So we had motorhomes in the family, grew up on a farm, and so it was always something. I always enjoyed those trips. I kind of grew up with them. And so when I sold a house and I decided to become a full-time RVer, and that kind of morphed into my, starting to work in the industry. I was a firefighter, EMT, and had a career there, but I, out of interest, decided to do the RV stuff, and it has led me down this path as we've gone on. So I had my own businesses. I also worked for other dealerships in New York and New England, and I got involved in writing early on. I went to school for communications before I went in the fire service, and so I always had a little bit of that going on. And so that's how this has kind of morphed into where we are today. And I met Gary as a student, as a technician, and then also writing for RV Travel and Family Motor Coaching and some other places. And he brought me right along in the business. And so I worked with the RVIA, and I worked with dealers and things like that, got involved in teaching as consumers as well as technicians. And so it's been an interesting journey for sure.
Well, you've been an RVer, you've been a writer, you've been a photographer, you've been a consultant, you've been a technician, you've been a service manager. You kind of hit all the bases. So certainly you have a background that more than qualifies you to take this next step in your career. And you also, I assume, probably going to retain your consulting company, but talk about RV PhD. That's the name of the new venture.
Yeah. So I've been thinking about starting something on my own for a while. I've worked with Motorhome and Trailer Life as the technical editor there, as technical director for RV Enthusiast, and I still write for FMCA. But one of the things that I wanted to really do was try to carry on what Gary had started with the RV Doctor, and his path was a little bit different in that it started as a column in a magazine many, many years ago. In fact, I was probably 1 year old when he started that. But at any rate, I wanted to kind of carry on with that. The RV Doctor name has been taken elsewhere. And so I was trying to think of, okay, how do I do this? I want to, be respectful to Gary, but also try to get this information out there and have a source of quality information for people. It's not sales based. That's why we're on Substack. It's about quality writing and good information. Work with my friend Mike Sokol. He's got RV Electricity on Substack also. And so we're just trying to build that source that is, just the best information that's out there technically, and we can go into lifestyle and stuff like that too, for sure. So it's not just, a very narrow focus, but the information that's on there is going to be as good as you can get.
Yep, I commend you for going to Substack. I've followed Mike, and Mike has been at our Boston show, as you have, instructing the audiences. And when you have the kind of expertise, experience, and knowledge that both of you have, and many other people have, you don't have to make any apologies going to a platform that charges for those services. No different than when you fixed an RV or when you have a consulting engagement, but it's a very affordable product. But sometimes there's a lot more value to something that you pay for than going out to the internet and just taking people's advice that, although well-intended, whether it's a forum or a chat room or a Facebook page, more than half of that information is incorrect. And people are gullible because many people, as we've seen during COVID, bought new RVs, 500,000 of them a year, never camped, never been in RVs. But they spent a lot of time on social media. So they say, well, this must be right because it's on the internet. And, this must be wrong because it's on the internet is probably better. So your business model is fantastic. And I wish you very well there. Just a quick note on Bunzer. I'm pretty sure you know the story, but a lot of other people don't. When I started writing for RV News in 1996, and I was hired by Don McGarry and Dan Holt, the person that I replaced, I shouldn't say that because I couldn't replace him, but the previous writer that they had was Gary Bunzer, as he was launching the RV Doctor. So our careers have been wound around many different trees as we go forward on this.
Sure. Yep, absolutely. And he had gone through, a number of different publications, and he was involved in different companies. Woodall's, which was part of the Good Sam organization years ago, he was involved with that, had his own book out on RV maintenance through that, as did our some other Bob Livingston had his guide out there that was all through Good Sam. So back in the day, that was the big organization for sure. But
what was great about that was we didn't have the internet, so people felt that by having a physical book, and it says Gary Bunzer or Bob Livingston, that they had a trusted resource. So we've gone away from that trusted resource. You're bringing it back. So what are some of the things that people should look forward to at RV PhD?
So there's a number of things that we're going to go after here. First of all is, we're going to certainly put a lot of tips out there, right? So one of my seminars that's particularly popular is RV sewage, right? And so people are always wondering how they work with that. And there's a lot of product-based solutions that are out there, but they're not always perfect. And so we try to give you kind of a technology-based or science-based view of how that system is designed to work and how you can make it work for you. Mike certainly talks a lot about RV electricity. I'm going to talk a lot about troubleshooting. I'll talk about other tips and things that you can do to make your RV travels safer, more enjoyable, and better as you go down the road. I have a lot of years of experience doing this, and there's a lot of things that I've done wrong, certainly over the years, where I've been sitting on the side of the road or worse. And so I hope that people will learn this stuff and just make it more enjoyable. We all invest a lot of money, a lot of ourselves in the lifestyle. And it's just like anything else. When you choose something as a vocation or as a recreation, there's good and bad that comes with all of it, right? So there's safety issues, there's a learning curve, there's certainly expense involved in that. So if we can learn from these things, it's going to make it that much better. And, there's last few years, we've had a lot of new people, as you point out, come into the space that have never experienced it before. They never would have considered owning an RV before. And it can be a great thing for everybody to experience and to enjoy. But sometimes that learning curve and kind of getting caught up in problems with the RV or even causing your own issues, if we can learn from people making those mistakes, maybe we won't repeat them, and it'll make our travels that much better.
Well, you've done a lot of seminars, as I have, and we certainly appreciate the contributions you've made to our shows. But as we've seen with this influx of new buyers, the questions that we get at the seminars are questions that in our heart say they should have known this information. The dealer should have given it to them. But you could tell that they were listening too much to social media. They weren't listening to the people who advocate appropriately and trustworthy in the industry. So your timing is absolutely perfect. We just have to make sure that people find their way to the publication and to you. So give us, where can people find RV PhD, and what email should they use if they want to communicate with you on requirements or whatever? We'll post that information down below, Chris, with some other graphics on the website, but tell people where to find you if they don't know you.
Sure. So they can go to thervphd.com, which will take it to my website. And there is a link there to go to the newsletter. Like I said, we're building this out. So the newsletter is going to be one piece of what we're going to be doing. So we'll be doing podcasts like this, audio podcasts, and putting out some other information for people as time goes on. You know, again, we're growing this from the ground level up at this point. And you can also get a hold of me through my email address, which is also on my website. That's chris@doughertyrv.com.
All right. So our guest this morning has been the RV PhD, and it's great. It's a great title given your background, your experience. Chris Dougherty with Dougherty RV Consulting, and now with the RV PhD project. Chris, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. Glad to have you back on the Camper Report Show.
Great to be here, Bob. Thank you so much.